Good morning and welcome to your Home and Finance Show. We are your host. I'm Janice Bradley with JB Real Estate Consultants and my co-host,
Diana Rice Wilkerson with Fairway Independent Mortgage.
As you know, Home and Finance is dedicated with you in mind to provide you with current and credible information about buying, selling, refinancing, renovating, building a home, and credit in regards to home ownership. Did you know that home ownership creates wealth building and legacy building? So let us help you with every step of the way, from the pre-approval to you receiving your keys at the closing table. Remember, home ownership matters. Diana, good morning.
Good morning, Janice.
Isn't this a great day?
It's a beautiful, beautiful day.
Yeah.
And we've just got a great show for our viewers today. And one of the things we want to talk about, because I was thinking about it when you were introducing the show, about all the things that we do, all the things that we can help, buyers and sellers do. But statistics still show that people are really confused about what a realtor actually does and what a lender actually does. So I thought today would be a good day for us to break it down.
So in other words, who are you?
Who are you and what do you really do? Hey Janice, what do you really do besides fill out forms? Okay.
I do a little bit more, and I think you do too. Yes.
So let's start with you first, Janice.
All right.
Is that okay?
It's great.
Okay.
It's great.
Awesome. Well, I'd like for you just to take us from the very beginning. And if you were working with a client, just kind of imagine yourself getting ready to work with a client. Explain to me, act like I'm the client. Explain to me,
I can do that.
Exactly what I need to I'm getting prepared for.
Okay. To be perfectly honest with you, Diana, I think one of the gifts or what I enjoy doing is meeting people where they are. So quite frankly, I just really want to know a little bit about you. So we talk a little bit, tell me a little bit about your family and yourself, if they have a family and this type of thing. So I do that, and then of course I'm writing down some of the information they're sharing with me if I'm not face to face. But I really want to know the best way I can, who they are.
And tell me why you really want to know that. I mean, how does that help you serve them?
Mainly because of the fact I believe it helps me know what's going to be important.
Gotcha.
And, it kind of also, if they're both together, if it's a relationship of some kind, I'm also going to find out who might be more of the decision maker.
Right.
But really just finding a little bit more about their family, their dynamics. Because quite frankly, the way you are with a family, as you know, many people may not know, but you have to know how you're going to operate in your house, So then I go into...
Great point.
So then I go into the fact of, are your children in school or, depending on how the conversation goes.
So you're not just being nosy.
Oh, absolutely not. Thank you for that.
There's a purpose in this.
There's a purpose.
Yes.
There's a purpose. Because then if they're a certain school age, are we trying to stay into the same school system? And if so, why is that important? And again, depending on the age group. And sometimes if they're younger, then that's not really a problem. Then we talk a little bit about what areas are going to be comfortable for you. Where are you living now? And they might share where they're living now and in what area. Is that the same area that you decided that you might want to purchase a home? So is that either a yay or a nay? And might come up the fact that they want to live close to family members, things of this nature. So then we also talk a little bit about, share with me what's going to be the most important, what features of the home is going to be more important to you. What's going to make you just say smile?
I want my own bedroom with my own bathroom, with my own kitchen, with my own everything.
So share with me with this, then, since we're having the bathroom and the master and the kitchen, is all that going to be just together? So I don't think so, but yes. Now, again, you'll be surprised. That is what some of the things that they will share.
Yeah.
Now, don't let it be a female in the house that's got all men. Instantly, that she's got to have her own space. There's no doubt about it, But do you have to have a eat-in kitchen and a dining room? Those kind of things. Are we okay with a great room? Because so many people, not as bad as it was in the beginning, but so many people think that they have to have the living room and the family room, all things that people kind of grew up with, and nobody uses that living room. But Actually, I've seen in some situations where the living room is turned into maybe a room for the kids to play.
Yes.
You know, their area, if it's not a two-story or something of this nature. But again, yes, those kind of things, finding out what's important. Now, what I do find out a lot of times with the kitchen, and it certainly has been a lot recently, I don't know what that means, maybe 3 or 4 years, so many men cook. There are so many men cook, you know?
Yes.
It is. I mean, you know, I know my son cooks quite a bit, and my sister, she always cooked and served meals for her boys and her husband. I mean, those boys, young men, they're in their 50s. They cook. They have been cooking for years. Yeah. So, you know, again, they say it relaxes them and what's important to them.
Good, 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 good.
So I think we've got that out of the way.
Right. And then how do you go about actually then finding homes for that person? Because you've interviewed the family, you know what they're looking for. How does the search happen? And especially with the internet out here, and the families may be out there looking on the internet also, but how do you go about actually identifying properties that might fit the family's need?
So one thing let's back up a little bit. Because if I'm the first person that they have spoken with, then even though I've had this kind of a conversation, they will have to be pre-approved.
Okay.
Okay. So we just need to make sure that is the first step.
Very good.
And that's what I share with them. Okay. I'm going to get everybody's email, and then I'm going to email you and copy you and introduce Mr. and Mrs. Smith to you. So, you know, so on and so forth. And I explained to them why. And, you know, I said, you know, before we get started, you know, we have to know exactly what's going to be your comfort zone as far as your payment. And usually I've written that down, but you're going to be the expert in the conversations they've had. So, you know, we don't get into a lot of when we're going to look or anything of that nature until after they have really been pre-approved.
And why is that, Janice? Because I know I've had people be a little frustrated with their real estate agent who maybe they've identified on the front end. They haven't completed the pre-approval process yet, but there's still homes out there that they're wanting to see, and their agent is saying, no, wait.
Right.
So explain, why are you saying, no, wait until we have a pre-approval letter?
Well, we all have a due diligence to each other to make sure that when we are showing homes and actually bringing strangers into somebody's home, you know, that they are a viable buyer. Yeah. They actually can buy the house.
So it's not a home tour?
No, it's not a home tour. That's usually, you know, says open house,
okay.
You know, things of this nature. But yes, absolutely. And so you're entering the house, and even if it's the first house, you say, oh, I am really so excited. Can we write an offer? Yeah, we can if you are pre-approved.
Got it.
Yeah, but you want to do your due diligence. It also gives you a lot of power, you as the buyer, you know, knowing that you are in a situation that you can go forward. But then after they've been pre-approved, then we start talking about the time frames that we can take a look at homes. Actually, I put them in a system that some of the things that they're sharing with me that they're interested in, and the price range we know. Okay. And also I will share with you, let's kind of back up too, because even before we start looking at homes, we got to talk about the kind of market that we're in. Okay, so in the market we're in today is a seller's market. So I have to share with them what that means. There are more buyers than there are sellers and listings. And in certain price ranges, there might even be a little bit less sellers. So we talk about that. I have to share with them, you know, how we're going to, I'm just going to use the word, how we're going to go forward, how we're going to roll. Okay.
Right.
And don't forget, I did share with them ahead of time that I have sent them by email purchase agreements. I like for them to see the documents that they will be signing, and they should be seeing even from a seller. So we're kind of ready. We're kind of ready when we do that.
So I hear from what you're saying, I'm hearing that you educate them.
Yes.
You get them really prepared. You're an excellent communicator. And you sounds like you know a little bit on the lending side too.
I do.
So that way you can kind of bridge that gap. I mean, those are two separate functions, but there should be a connection there where the realtor knows that as well.
Exactly, and it's so great to have a team.
Yes,
you know, so very important for us to have a team, so that way everybody's on the same page. So again, that's the way the house hunting starts. You know, we're on and popping.
Yep.
You know, they're going to understand about
popping like popcorn.
They're going to understand about asking over. You know, preparing to asking over list price. They already know that. Yeah. Okay, so they are really going to be prepared in the best way that I know how. They're going to understand about appraisal gaps. They're going to understand about earnest money. We talk about that. You know, even in the conversation we had before. So they're going to be feeling, you know, really prepared. So what happens? We're on. I make appointments ahead of time so that we know how to get into the house. So the tour pretty much begins, and that's going to be it for a minute until we do find that house.
And what if their heart is set on the house and then they don't get the offer accepted? I mean, what's the conversation with them after that?
You know, we talk about where we need to go upstairs, you know, and talk to the main man. But at least it just kind of helps them it reinforces what I've kind of shared with them. And I do, try to prepare for that. It is so emotional. Home buying, home selling is so terribly emotional. One of the things that where a lot of realtors are working on is not for them not to be set maybe on one particular home.
Right.
Yesterday you wouldn't even do that. You wouldn't offer on just one. You would just offer on one home. You certainly wouldn't offer on 2 or 3. But in today's market, we just got to throw the dice. But write the best offers we possibly can. And I think we're going to have a show about that. Some of the do's and don'ts.
Right. So when you talk about writing the best offers you possibly can. What words of encouragement would you give your buyer? I mean, because they're still coming into this not really knowing, and sometimes some of the things that have to go into the best offer you possibly can may scare them. So for example, offering over list price, possibly an appraisal gap, possibly paying the seller's costs. I mean, how do you help them understand the benefit of making those kinds of offers in terms of it strengthening their offer so it can be considered?
Well, a couple of things. The best thing for me to do is to share all that up front. I feel that I have excellent negotiating skills, but the best thing is for them to know all of that up front. Even before we write an offer, Diana, I actually will call the realtor and ask them if they have any offers on the home. Sometimes they'll already tell you and just say, okay, we've got multiple offers. Now, actually, it could be 2 or 3, but that's still multiple.
There's still multiple,
okay.
Yes.
So I'll let them know, hey, there are multiple offers, so they're asking for your highest and best. Now, sometimes we've written an offer, and then they'll come back and say, okay, highest and best. So I share with them, is this your highest and best? Yes. Because they don't really have to go back and forth. They don't have to tell us that. So we really do our highest and our best that's going to make them really feel comfortable. We'll talk about, hey, proration of taxes, we know is another way to do it. The seller's going to look at the bottom line. What makes them tick? What's going to make them tick? We no longer can share any information about who the buyer is, the family, and so on and so forth.
No pictures.
No, that's
sob
not allowed.
stories.
No sob. Oh, I used to write the best sob stories, or whatever. But so that's it. That's it. And if we don't get that particular home, if the agent has the time, we talk about it a little bit. They'll share with me, I'm sorry, we got a cash offer, or the terms were better, and they'll share with me the terms. And maybe it's because they were putting more money down, so they weren't going to have an an appraisal. So sometimes just things that kind of would make sense to them. And again, we roll with it.
Right.
We roll with it,
Right.
but we get the house. We do get the house.
You get the house. There's some adjectives that some of your clients have given us about you, Janice Bradley. Great communicator, committed, educator, encourager, negotiator, intuitive. That's heavy duty, and it sounds like it is very much needed in this process.
It is, and I am committed. I know sometimes you've shared with me that you could not be a realtor.
I could not.
But they're going to have to fire me because I'm not saying I haven't been fired in many years. And no, I can't really say that. I mean, I'm sure you don't get along with everybody, or because as we have personalities. But let's just put it this way. I probably have only done it 2 or 3 times in my career where I've actually had a buyer's exclusive contract. I don't quite believe in that 100%. And the reason I say that is that because, you know, if the marriage doesn't work, it just doesn't work, you know, and that's okay. You can go your way and I'll go my way. But yes, I am pretty much a committed educator, definitely. This is the largest purchase anybody's ever going to make. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I'm not paying the mortgage. I shared that with them. It's you. So I want everybody to feel very, very comfortable. Email me, text me, call me. Encourager, absolutely. We've got to encourage one another, and we've got to get the family involved and things of this nature that we do. Negotiator, strong points. I think I have. I really do. I really do have. Just because of experience, you know, I've been doing it. You know, been doing it for a while. In the last couple of years, since it has been a seller's market, we've really had to, you know, just think out of the box and just be a big girl. Yes. Okay, so. Yes. It's almost been kind of fun, you know. One time as I was Googling some things about, okay, helping you prepare for an offer and all of that, and I'll be daggone if it didn't say, hey, ask, you know, maybe negotiate and say, we'll pay some of your costs for your moving costs, Mr. Seller. I love it, you know. Things of that nature that are because you still have to learn from each other. We won't even get into as is because that just... is a, you know, worm, just a different, it just keeps moving and moving. But, you know, again, don't be afraid of it anymore. The reason I'll say, you know, we need to go as is because I'm aware of all the, you know, the HVAC, roofs, things of this nature. So maybe we'll say, okay, Mr. Seller, we'll go ahead, you know, and say as is subject to no roofing, structural, let's say, habitability or safety issues. And the reason you kind of have to cover yourself because I was in a situation, brand new roof, but when they did the inspection, the rafters were full of mold. Things, and if had I not written in habitability, you know, things of this nature. Gotta
have the wording in there that protects your client.
Absolutely.
And if it's not there, it can sounds like it can be very messy.
Yeah.
Very messy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, great job description.
Thank you.
And great information for our viewers today so that they have a better idea of what goes on with the whole with the relationship.
And how we get to the keys, get the keys
how
at
we
the
get
table.
To the keys. And the relationship between the buyer and the realtor. Just know, buyers, that you want folks like Janice Bradley, who has your best interest at heart and can get you through that process. Great job.
Thank you. Alrighty, Diana Rice Wilkerson, you've done all the damage you could be, so it is your turn. Of course, you know, we have known each other over 25 years, I believe.
Yes.
And it's been the most exciting career for both of us. There's no ifs and buts about it. But again, we need to know about you. So Diana, we call you the Mortgage Whisperer, which of course, you know, you say, oh, I don't want people to know that, but we know that you are very blessed with your financing aspect and how you do get people approved. So I think you need to kind of share just real quickly to the listening audience, your background and how you got to where you are.
Okay, so I'm a lender, of course, and I've been lending money for probably over 40 years. Started on the retail side of the bank with car loans and second mortgages and personal loans. You could get those then on an installment plan. Can't get that anymore. Okay. Normally you have to go get a credit card. But anyway, started there just learning what goes into making a good lending decision. And then I moved into the mortgage industry and moved to the mortgage side of the bank, I should say. And actually I opened up checking accounts part of the day and then took mortgage applications the other part of the day.
Wow.
Actually, it was like 2 different ways we went about lending or approving someone for a loan. For the installment loans and the car loans, that's one set of criteria, and then it's a complete spin your head around set of criteria for mortgage loans. So
you've seen a little bit of everything.
I've seen a little bit of everything, and I learned from the ground up. Okay. So I've underwritten, I've originated, I ended up being going to INHP, the Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership, where I was their director of mortgage programs for a few years.
Keep hearing the word mortgage.
Habitat for Humanity, where I was their executive director for 3 years. And then after Habitat, I just wanted to get back to the people. I wanted to come out of management and just deal directly with people. And so, and that's when we hooked up, okay? Because I remember when I got into that position, I think you were the first person I called. Janice, I'm originating loans. And my job as an originator is to actually show up with the money. Whichever way you get there, short of robbing a bank, the customer needs to get the financing in place. So that's what I do, quite involved.
And you know what I say often, you know, to the listening audience, whether it's radio or TV, Diana shows you the money.
I do.
In fact, your telephone number tickles me because it's the last numbers are 5555, so all you have to do is just put a little line and there are the actual dollar signs. So, okay, so Diana, you know, as you've asked me a little bit about, you know, what I do. So now that I have sent you a customer,
yes.
Okay, because I say, okay, Diana, this couple or this individual is ready to take a look at a home. This is their numbers and what have you. Share with me what's the first thing that takes place.
First thing that takes place, generally, it can happen one of two ways. Some people want to chat with me first before they make application. They just want to kind of get an idea of what the process is like.
All right.
Others go right to the application page, which is probably the better approach, because if you make application, then when we talk, I'm talking about your specific situation.
I have to back up real quick. Has it always been that way that the application was done first? Wasn't it more still voice to voice? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. This is with automation.
Okay.
Automation.
Good point.
Because before it was a telephone call or a face-to-face meeting where we gathered the information for the application, either over the phone or face-to-face. But with you know, what is it?
The automation.
Automation, yes. You can see how long I've been around. With automation now, everything is done online.
Great.
Okay, everything, and that's efficiency.
Yeah.
There's some things that happen with that. There's pros and cons. A lot of our older seniors who don't deal with computers don't care for it so much. But what it does, if you're entering the data, then you're likely to enter the correct information. When we're hearing things over the telephone, numbers, dates of birth, things of that nature, you know, unless you go back and repeat, and even sometimes for the client, they have to double check their social security number. So when it comes through on the application and the borrower has already submitted that, 9 chances out of 10, it's accurate information, and it's there. They have more control in the process because this is data they put in. So yeah, that's the way that happens. The first thing I'm going to do is pull the credit report. That is the #1 thing. It kind of gives us an idea. It helps me start thinking programs and ease of approval.
Okay.
Okay. Following that, then I'm going to talk to the customer about documents. One of the things about a mortgage application is every piece of information you provide to us has to be supported through an acceptable form of documentation. And I mean acceptable because snapshots, especially with the young people, they want to take a little snapshot of their bank account and text it to you and say, this is how much money I have in the bank. That does not work.
Wow.
Okay, we many times need bank statements, and that's all pages. And so I kind of go through that process as well, requesting the documents, explaining why we need them, especially if customers have questions. All of that information is going into the mixer, if you will, just to see, okay, what program can we use? Is this a first-time home buyer? Do they qualify for down payment assistance, et cetera, et cetera. So once I do that, I normally have a follow-up phone call with the customer where we kind of like go deep. You know, what's the most you're looking to pay out of your budget for a mortgage? Today's conversation is very different than 6 months ago, because interest rates have went up and folks are still kind of holding on to those old payments that they thought they were comfortable with, but rates have gone up, so that's going to increase that monthly payment. So I have to deal a lot with that. Fortunately, many of the customers that come, that apply today, they're aware rates have gone up. We do talk about their credit, if there's anything that they need to address in order to put them in a better situation to get approved or approved for more money or ease of a loan approval. I share all of that with them. I'm the personal navigator for my client. You know, I have a team, so the heavy lifting I do with my client. So that upfront setup and payment and money and The tough conversations, I'm going to have that with my client.
Yes.
My teammates are going to help with getting documentation in so that we can keep the file moving through the different stages that it has to go through before we are cleared to close. But I am always there. It's like I may not be on with every conversation because that might be handled by one of my team members, but I am always there for my client.
So what would you say the changes have been over a certain amount of years? I mean, I wouldn't know to ask how many years,
okay.
But obviously you as a lender would know the kind of changes, especially maybe when it comes to underwriting approval.
Well, one of the major changes that occurred many years ago, when I got into the business originally, we dealt with paper. The file was documented. I prepared for loan committee so I could meet with the folks that actually approved loans. There was no underwriter. I mean, it was me and about 5 or 6 guys. And I'm saying guys because they're not as warm and fuzzy as ladies. And we're talking about lending big money. And so I would go into the loan committee meetings with my files, and I'd better be prepared for every question they might ask if I wanted to come out with an approved loan. So I would say one of the major things that occurred is we've shifted away from paper. Okay. Everything's electronic. Mm-hmm. When we went to automated underwriting, that bothered a lot of people because it's like, okay, there's no longer a person really making this decision. Well, you get the best of both worlds with automated underwriting because, first of all, automated underwriting, there's no consideration about your race, no demographic information whatsoever, It's strictly credit, debt ratio, employment, income, assets.
So not as subjective.
Not as subjective. And then the underwriter, the physical underwriter, confirms that the documents you put into the file are the documents that support your story. And so that was a very good thing. And then they sign off on it. Great. So that's probably the most major change that there's been. And there's some others too, but you know what, Janice, we're going to have to save that probably for another show.
Okay.
Because, you know, we do want to just let people know when it comes to student loan debt, especially that probably is, if you have student loans and if you're listening to this show and you're thinking about buying a home, one of the things you want to do is check in on how your student loans are going to be handled through the underwriting process. Do not use your logical mind. Engage your lending partner. Engage your realtor partner and engage your lender partner as quickly as you possibly can so that you're prepared for this process.
So we need to wind up. So real quickly, you also do what, refinancing?
Oh, yeah.
And can you touch on that real quick?
Anything home loan, anything that involves a home loan and a first mortgage, that's what I do. So yes, refinancing, financing new construction, financing existing homes, renovating homes, reverse mortgages, which we will be talking about also in a future show. But yes, I can do that.
Folks, Diana Rice Wilkerson.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to next time. Have a blessed day.